Hey honey, this episode is called the Dunning-Kruger effect and why I need you. I'll give you a little bit of an update. I woke up to 1,500 views to a previous video that I made for you. Sometimes this doesn't quite feel real because I think it's just you and me talking and I forget that there's other people out there. Also, some of their comments have really melted a hardened heart, so we'll go into more of that in another episode. But yeah, I've been thinking about this episode for a bit, and I'm not quite ready, but let me just try to put something down for you and see if any of it works. So this one's called the Dunning-Kruger effect and why I need you. And what that simply is the history of it you can look up later, but so this is the Dunning-Kruger graph, I believe. I think these are two scientists that came up with this, Dunning and Kruger. So if you come up with your own, we can name it after you. I have my own submissions to science, something similar to Plato's allegory of the cave and some other things, some other words, neologisms I'm trying to make up. But what this is basically saying is that when you learn something new, so your knowledge is the x-axis, right? And your confidence is the y-axis. When you learn something, immediately your confidence spikes. You think you know everything about it. You are queen of the world. You're an expert in it. Usually you get humbled pretty quick by others who know a little bit more. And then your confidence goes down with time. I'm working on slowing down my speech so I don't stutter as much, because I'm getting sick and tired of editing out the stammers and the ums and the buts and the uhs and the you-knows. Which are all words I don't want to say. They're just words that help with the stutter. Then your confidence goes down with more knowledge, and you may think that you're in a trough there. But then as you learn more and more and more, your confidence goes back up. Never quite to the level you were at initially, and that's okay. So you can think of this as like a simpleton, which there's a lot of politicians who are at this level right now, who are holding a seat out of 535 seats in Congress and making $180,000 a year, I think, $175,000 a year, and have 2 offices and can do everything, but they're here. And a lot of the people that should be running the office, that should be running for office, are not running because they're probably here, and a lot of them are here. So this is like a student who's learning, usually in university, high school, graduate programs, or just graduated maybe, and this is an expert. You can imagine on like a debate stage, these 3 people here, and a lot of people do get tricked by this person because of their confidence. And why this graph kind of matters, I want to give you an example. I'm going to show you all about how to drive. I'm going to teach you how a car works because it's important to know when we use it as a metaphor for the body. And I have some episodes coming up about how to be healthy, how to live forever, how to look really good, and how to be fit and healthy. And I use a car a lot as an analogy, as a metaphor there. So you should know how it works. And also, because it's just a good example. So when you're younger, say you're 16 and a half and you get your license, you'll have your learner's permit, then you get your license, you're on your own. I don't need to drive you around, your mom doesn't need to drive you around, things like that. Now you're in charge, right, of the 2-ton vehicle, going whatever speed you want. I don't quite know where you are, what you're doing, and there's a lot of other idiots on the road who are in a rush of all different ages, distractions on their phone, doing their makeup, on a call, angry, drunk, high, all these things. They have bad eyesight and they should have had their license revoked, but they haven't been caught yet, or they have an ego and they don't want to give it up. I understand. But we're talking about you here. So you get on the road and you feel like, I'm good. 16 and a half, 17 years old, I can do things. And that's good. I'm glad you have that confidence, but you don't have the experience yet to know all of the intricacies of driving and how driving can surprise you oftentimes. So you should be doing these things that are now second nature for me, but aren't so much for you yet, simply because you just don't have the experience in it yet, which is okay. I was there once. Your kids will be there once, and that's okay. The other issue is, so let's do an equation here, okay? When I tell you not to speed, every good parent and the law advises you not to speed. And there's a reason for it. I feel like humans don't know what the reason for it is, speeding. I believe the equation for kinetic energy is 1/2 mass times velocity squared. I think that's the equation for kinetic energy. And why that matters is we're going to have episodes about batteries and the conservation of energy and matter and information. When the car is at rest in the garage, it has potential energy, potential chemical energy because of the gasoline inside of it. When you start driving it and you're going now 60 miles an hour, so half, let's make up an M of, let's find out what the mass of a regular car is. I'll do my car. Okay, my car is 4,100 pounds. That is almost 2,000 kilograms, 1859 kilograms. So let's just do 2,000, yeah? So 2,000 kilograms. Well, here, let me get the math done for you and I'll come right back. Okay, we're going to do kind of like a fake science version here, because the equation for kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. The squared is really important when it comes to math because that means that things move exponentially. When you see a variable squared, it moves up in the graph exponentially. For each mile an hour that you're adding from 35 to 36 is going to be different than from 65 to 66. Example of that is, so this is half. The weight is 2,000 kilograms, 35 miles an hour. It should be in meters per second for actual physics, but it yields this. So not in joules, but it yields this much kinetic energy. If you add 10 miles an hour, it yields this, and the difference is 800. But for 65 miles an hour, it yields this much kinetic energy. For the same 10 mile per hour difference, it yields this much kinetic energy. And the difference is not 800, see? It's almost double that much more kinetic energy. So you are now rushing down the highway or wherever you are with that much more energy that you need to stop. A lot of people don't think about defense. They only care about go, go, go. When they watch sports, they don't think about defense, but smart people like you will have an appreciation and will deeply meditate on defense. Just as important as going is stopping. So people will always make sure that there's gas in the tank, but they don't check their brake pads, right? And their rotors. You need to stop all that kinetic energy. That is equally as important, if not more important. We need you to stop rather than go, because you can always go, but we need to make sure that you stop. You need to stop that energy. So we're going to think in terms of physics here, removing our emotion, and then we'll add the emotion in later. That much kinetic energy needs to stop. Furthermore, that is dependent on your reaction time, your brain's reaction time, assuming it is focused, not inebriated with anything. You're not like on an emotional high or anxiety or anything like that. You're even keeled, a sailing term. So at that speed, your reaction time needs to be that much more acute. And it's the same reaction time you have here, but it's now being applied at these speeds. So there's less time to react to the kid who runs after the ball in the street, to the drunk driver who blows past a red light, to the deer that surprisingly crossed the road right at dusk. That happened to me on the official day of the rut. I saw a deer cross the road right at dark, and I was expecting it as a hunter because I knew that the rut was then. So that's why speed there matters. And until you have enough experience, I mean, you should never speed, but I don't want to be a hypocrite, but you should know about this. I've sped. I've done bad things in a car, and it's only by luck and by probability that I'm still here. I got into my only accident when I was that age, 17, I think. And on a motorcycle, I've been in 3 accidents, never my fault. In a plane, I've been in a crash. And in a sailboat, I've been in a crash. So I am familiar with accidents. I'm going to have an episode that's called How to Fall and How to Fail, and you should know how to fall. It's an important lesson, thematically, philosophically, and also literally. This much kinetic energy needs to be stopped. This is why, by the way, we design cars the way we do, because they should have a large crumple zone in the front of the car. So when you see a car, this hood, the longer it is, that can absorb the kinetic energy. And it's just that much better for you not to get injured as the occupant of the vehicle. But if you have a car with like a snub nose, like a smart car, it's that much riskier. And that's often why they sell, now in America, they sell these basically like tanks, which everyone got tricked into buying these and these huge, lifted trucks and SUVs and stuff like that. So it's safer for the driver and its occupants. But even that has ramifications because now you can't see the people crossing the road. So there's a lot of injuries and a lot of accidents that happens because you can't see a kid from that angle. I used to sell Ford F-150s when I was 19. We'll go more into that later. So yeah, this, kinetic energy needs to stop. And it's difficult for older people to convey this to you literally as we go into like the biology episodes and how your brain works, why I say, protect your brain. Nothing's happening for like a magical reason or at random. Your frontal lobe is not fully developed until your early to mid 20s. It's about like 2 years earlier than your male compatriots. I think mine's still developing, and because I'm a moron. But that is critical for decision making, reaction times, impulses, things like that. What I'm saying there is, at that age, even though I may say something to you, you'll be like, yeah, Dad, okay. But it's because your brain is receiving and processing that information differently than my brain, because mine is now fully developed, I hope. So try to appreciate that, is that the world in which you're looking, is that the world that you're looking at then is through a different lens than mine is. I did a drag race when I was 17, very stupidly, and I still think about it. Drag race my friends, and I passed him going up a hill with a blind drive, and I still think about how that could have been the end. It just wasn't. But that being said, I have way too many friends that have now died from this. There was a guy that I spoke to 12 hours beforehand from halfway around the world, and we messaged each other, and 12 hours later I got the call that he was dead. I don't know how to get this through to you, because when you go to driver's ed and stuff, they will say all this, but it's just a matter of this next part. I'm going to try my best to convey it to you as your father, okay? I know there's a kid he was my best friend as a kid. At like 8 or 9 years old, we used to always go to the woods and smash beer bottles up against trees and rocks and just play around like Bridge to Terabithia or kind of something like that. Not our beer bottles, don't worry, just like empties. And then I happened to see if he was around. So, he moved away and we kept writing each other back when you would write by hand. And I looked to see if he was around so we could reconnect, and I saw his obituary. Died, splattered, motorcycle, going 90, doing tricks at 19. And he knows about engines and cars and all that stuff. That was my best friend. He's not here. And in a way, actually, the suffering is worse for the primates that he or she leaves behind, right? Because we're still here. There was a girl I knew when I was 16 at my first job. We both worked together. She's probably the most beautiful girl that I've ever seen. Just like your typical all-American, blonde hair, blue eyes, all that stuff. And we both worked together. And I remember her once having to, at that age, employees don't quite know what they are allowed to do or supposed to do or anything like that. She once cleaned the toilet by hand using a long glove, and she was going in this public toilet. I remember being like, you don't have to do that, but at 16, 17, employees don't know that. You're trying their best. And I remember thinking that because she, there's like a Venn diagram, like it's almost inversely, proportional, that if you're good looking, you don't do those things, or if you do those things. But she was like the most beautiful face I've ever seen, with the most beautiful personality. And she was just, humble, like she thought she had to do this. So she was that Venn diagram I'll talk about in another episode. Why you exponentially succeed if you can occupy the Venn diagram. Anybody can be in the obvious camp. It's when you are the intersection of two seemingly opposite camps that you're interesting and something that people want to observe and support. She was that. And then one day I'm changing some of these details so as to protect people's identity. And then one day she died in this manner. Her brain was hijacked by ethanol, and she didn't know the properties of it. Her frontal lobe's not fully developed. And I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to say too much, but this is why even, in the comments when people go, how could he drive after drinking? He made that decision. That was his choice. No, it wasn't. That's the nature. And I think me as an educator failed to convincingly convey what I understand is the scientific properties of that. You have ethanol. It's a molecule that specifically affects and hijacks and overwrites your ability to make decisions. That is the property. Remember I said you should know the properties of these things. That's what it means to be smart. So, having a beer is it's not having a beer. You're just introducing ethanol, this molecule, to your central nervous system. So it does affect your ability to make decisions. So it is literally not his or her decision to go do that. They introduce the thing. So, if you're drinking or you think you're late to something, I'm letting you know now, there's no issue. Whatever money you need to go call for a ride, it's on me. If you need me to come grab you 3 hours away at 4 a.m., I'm ready. If you've been drinking underage, I don't care. And if you think you're going to be late and upset me, you won't. And even the math there, if you're going, I did this earlier, say we're using X as the distance, 35 miles, okay? And you go at 65 miles an hour versus 75 miles an hour. I think the difference that I calculated was 4 minutes. That 4 minutes is nothing I'll ever care about versus you not being around for another Christmas, for me to see how you grow up, who you get married to, what you do with your life, who you bear if you choose to bear children, and what you do. I want to know you for a long time. Okay, I need you. Your mother needs you. Your siblings need you. Your grandparents need you. Your dogs and cats need you. There's a huge net around you. These are all humans and animals, and we all need you. And if you want to trick your brain into this, I'm going to show you, in the last episode I said, the truth seems to be two opposite sides. You are more important than everyone else. You are. Are you actually? Scientifically, biologically? No, we're not any different. There's no gene I can find that makes you better or worse than anybody. But it's the story that we say, and it's a helpful story. That's what I used to say to my students when they didn't believe in themselves, stuff like that. It's like, you matter more. And you see other, by the way, races and religions and cultures that just say this story to themselves, and that already gives them like the confidence. So I'm going to say that story to you. You matter more than everyone else. I need you here. I need you home. You can go do whatever you want. That's why I kind of want to get to a place where you feel you're comfortable saying even just the weirdest, strangest things to me. And we're going to have like a bunch of episodes about your weird, strange things. I want you to know that I've seen it all, experienced it all on purpose, because I wanted to know what humans are going through. And it's only when someone feels that they can't open up to somebody that you see an issue. It is not worth the 4 minutes. It is not worth the $100 for a car ride. It is not worth the 3 hours I need to go, I'll get you a hotel, whatever. Just, I need you here. So don't speed. Because velocity squared is an exponential shift in energy. And even with the overview effect, which I think this is like my 6th time mentioning that, why it's so important to me is because, say you fly a plane at like 1,000 feet, or I'll take you flying. I'll show you what the ground looks like at 1,000 feet when we land at 5,000 feet, and you let me know if you can see the humans, if you can see the cars, something that's as big as like a scary 18-wheeler. Like a lot of girls that I know, they're always afraid of like the 18-wheeler, behind them. From that distance, you can't see it, and you can't even hear the sound of a crash. That's how much those things don't matter. Like you shouldn't engage in road rage and all this stuff with these humans that don't care and they don't have this understanding. And now my country has weaponized everyone, so they're quick to anger with a gun. There's so many cases of that now. That's not the way that it was, and I know exactly why it's become that way, because lonely people become rude people are being groomed by the media to be angry, and now they have a gun, so when they make like a rash decision, it's just so stupid. But I'm going to show you from up there, you can't even hear it. You can't hear the crash. When that steel shreds and tears in that split second, what happens is it affects almost like a quantum entanglement. Suddenly it affects all of the primates that are connected to you, which include me and everyone you know. So we need you here, because that story will forever change our lives. Okay, baby? So please don't speed. Please focus. Make mistakes in the lab, because when it comes time to perform, we're not allowed to make mistakes, you and I. That's how I raised myself, is that you fail in private in the lab as many times as you can, because when it matters, you are not allowed to fail. This is a mindset that I don't know why a lot of people don't adopt this, and I can go into exactly what that is when it comes to sports and all this stuff, but you're not allowed to fail when it matters. When it matters is you coming home from work, from a party where you've been drinking, there's a boy who gives you, well, I get it, okay? I get it. It's because of this. Dunning-Kruger, the frontal lobe, the story, and how even the math is not worth it. If you're talking about driving versus flying, you can say, well, that's worth it because that's an exponential, like a 6-day drive becomes a 6-hour flight. Okay. But you going that much faster is going to save 4 minutes, or if you're not feeling good, it's just not worth it. Got it? I'm going to check my notes on this one of what else I had. It's not the cleanest episode. I feel like it never is, but I got the piano tune for you today. I have a good story about that, but I got the piano tune for you. So from now on, if it sucks, if it sounds bad, you can only blame me. I'll buy you some earmuffs, and I'll do an episode on how to play the piano. Okay? Let me check the rest of this. Oh, I think I got almost all of them. Yeah, I think I got most everything there. I'm trying to change the specifics of this part, but regarding somebody's crash, fatal crash, they like paid off some of the politicians to change things about it, and it was not even much money. But this is another thing. I kind of want to show you how things are connected, because even from that case, when I learned about that, I'm like, oh, politicians can be bought, and sometimes that's okay because it's like a community thing, like they're trying to help, but we can extrapolate that over larger larger layers, but this is not important. We can ignore this now. Okay, the Dunning-Kruger effect. You see this all the time. This is why insurance rates are higher for young people, because the insurance companies know you guys are just not the most reliable when it comes to it. It's not your fault, it's just that you don't have the experience yet. And then you have the overconfidence. Where the hell did I put the Dunning-Kruger? I already lost the... There we go. Yeah. And accidents still happen at the expert level and all this stuff. That's okay. But I want you to be aware of it. Think about it as you see people. It's not just for driving, obviously. It's for running for office, starting a company, somebody speaking from their soapbox about an issue they know nothing about. It's also why, by the way, there's a confidence gap here. I don't know if you noticed that. It's almost like the expert will never reach that level of confidence. I'm not sure if I said that. It's also why with the intro episode I said the Bertrand Russell quote. I think it's now the third time I said that, but the problem with the world is that fools are so confident while wise men are so full of doubts. Men and women are so full of doubts. So that's kind of because of the Dunning-Kruger effect. But at a certain point, we do need to speak up, because I'm watching these pea-brained people fool everyone else. It's because of the lack of education that the fool is being fooled, right? They don't know, they don't have the critical faculties to assess and be like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Why am I even listening to this person? Dunning-Kruger, honey, be safe out there. Wear your seatbelt. Go slow, take your time, enjoy the ride. Driving is a beautiful thing. I think it's an art. I love driving, I love cars. One day we'll finally cotton ball the last internal combustion engine, but it is an art, it is a beautiful thing. Yeah, we'll go in another episode about the internal combustion engine, and there's a reason why I want to teach you about that. It's a good metaphor, and you should learn about how inventors layered things from previous inventions, because there was an external combustion engine, right? And that already had a piston design. So it's not like the first person who creates an internal combustion engine is making it for the first time. They're adding layers, which I've said before too. So you're adding layers to the world that we've already built here now. And yeah, good luck. Anyway, have fun out there. Let's end on a positive note. One of my favorite things to do in the whole universe, like the happiest I ever be, is to pack a car properly, grab a girl, throw her in the co-pilot seat. She should be a good navigator, which they always are. Get the snacks and just go drive. It's like my favorite thing to do. So many good memories, so many good sights. I'm a good driver, I think. But see, I think is like the humility. I'm like, hang on, I should. So, and it's like the most fun you could have. I hope you drive everywhere. Driving is an art. It's beautiful. It's like the best way to see everything. And I hope to drive all through Russia and Europe and Africa a little bit on a motorcycle, Latin America, things like that. I've now crisscrossed the US 3 or 4 times with different people, and it's always been a blast. So I hope you, and by the way, this is on me, you can hold me to this. If you want to once drive across the country, it's on me. I'll give you like a $10,000 limit. I don't know why you spend that much, but I'll give you like an allowance, and you go grab your girlfriends, make sure that they're all you're good drivers, safe, responsible, grab all the food, get the music queued up, and go see America. The best, most beautiful country in the cosmos. All right? It's a big, beautiful country out there, and you should see it. Yeah, so I want you to have fun. Like, this is not like to scare you. I'm all about safety because I want you around for a long, long time. And I want you to be around for a long time so you can experience things all the time. There's so much to experience. And if you do it safely, it's a good time out here. If you don't, your suffering will be very short compared to the suffering you'll leave behind for us. That's why it seems like this happy and sad message at the same time. But yeah, when I used to have a lease on a sailboat in Los Angeles for a year, and I used that thing probably 3 times a week. And I would take out at least 1 to 9 people each time. So I took out dozens, if not hundreds of humans. And I would always start with a safety meeting, and I would repeat the safety meeting twice, and everyone felt at ease from it. Like, nobody felt like that was stupid or like a distraction or a waste of time. They like appreciated it. Their nerves were calm. They felt good about it. And I went through the like redundancies we have and like the contingencies we have on board, life vests, what to do like in case of a squall, if you get sick, going below deck, where to hold on to, low center of gravity, how to move about, how much to drink, how much not to, when to hide, all these things. And then what that does is it makes everyone on board feel like, well, this is going to be a great time. So safety is not a boring thing. It's a beautiful thing. When you're safe, then you get to experience life all the time. And it's a blast. All right, so I want you around for a long time, please. And I hope you get this through your head sooner rather than later. Okay, baby, I love you. Have a great day. Yeah, I've been skipping a lot of things just so I can work on this. So I skipped another one tomorrow. I skipped one last weekend just so I just wake up, work on this, and I'm there at the computer till like 11. So let's hope this pays off in some way. All right. At 100 subscribers, I have a giveaway that I'm going to do, a $100 giveaway, scavenger hunt. That'll be fun. I'm excited for that. I never thought anyone would subscribe. I was just waiting for you to subscribe. All right, babe. I love you. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, it's a good day here. Sorry that I feel a bit, tight, but let's see if this episode works. I don't know. I'm gonna go look at the footage and probably hate. It's probably a dog hair on me. Somebody else was like, the dog hair on you drives me crazy. I was like, I thought it was charming. But all right, love you and I love you. Bye.